Yesterday, 5 states held their statewide primaries: Colorado, Illinois, New York, Oklahoma, and Utah. And 2 states held primary runoffs as Mississippi, South Carolina. Here to talk about what the results have been so far and what we might be able to draw from the outcome is Brent Keilen, Vice President at FRC Action. Brent, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Thanks, Tony. Good to be with you today.
All right, just to set the stage here a little bit for this discussion, looking at the president's numbers right now, as of today, his approval rating is 38%, his disapproval rating is 57%. Most Democrats are running away from him, not to him when it comes to elections. More than, we talked about this last week, but more than 1 million voters switched to the GOP this year, in this past year, which is a warning sign to Democrats, the media says. Now, coming out of the Dobbs decision last Friday, Democrats, those on the left, have been saying, oh, this is going to be a boom for the Democrats because it's going to energize voters to go to the polls and vote for abortion. Did we see that yesterday?
No, Tony, we absolutely did not. We had 5 more primaries with their elections yesterday, 2 more runoffs. We're now over, we've had over half the states have their primaries so far. And to your point, yesterday was the first primary post Dobbs. Tony, the trends for the half the states that we've had primaries have shown a decided advantage for Republican enthusiasm that did not change at all yesterday in those 5 states plus the states with runoffs. This trend is in red states, blue states. It really doesn't matter what part of the country it's in. And if you look at the data, we have some great analysis from JMC Analytics, which has crunched the numbers. Taking the primary turnout data this year, how many voters turned out in Republican primaries, supported Republican candidates versus how many in primaries supported Democrats, and compared that to previous midterms, like 2018. If you look at that comparison, the Republican Party turnout this year versus 4 years ago is up by 26 points. The overall Democrat turnout is down by 4 points. That's a huge difference. That's a huge swing. And again, Tony, it really doesn't matter. Even yesterday, we had a diverse lineup of states, and that trend held true through yesterday.
Now, also, I noticed in yesterday's primary election, in particular in Illinois, where the incumbent that had taken out pro-life Dan Lipinski, a Democrat, she beat him last election cycle. She was actually defeated in the primary yesterday. So progressive candidates did not do so well in yesterday's primary for Democrats.
That's right, Tony. That's a great example. And Dan Lipinski really was one of the last, if not the last, true pro-life Democrat. And they tried to oust him from the left a couple times. They finally succeeded in doing so. But to your point, in the primary yesterday, Illinois just went through redistricting like the rest of the country did. And in that primary, she was not able to retain that seat.
And also, the establishment GOP did not do so well either, as the conservative candidate for governor there in the state of Iowa, backed by former President Trump, actually got the nod there from voters as well.
That's right, Tony. And then some other races the establishment did not do too well in. You also look at the primary with Mary Miller and Rodney Davis. With Mary Miller, the victor there, a lot of establishment folks had lined up behind Rodney Davis. And she's been a champ on the life issue. So you see it playing out in that primary as well.
Now, what do you see generally across the board as you've now had a chance to look at several primaries? In times past, people have said, look, you got to kind of tone down some of these issues. Don't talk so much about the life issue. Don't talk so much about, the human sexuality, the whole LGBTQ agenda. My observation, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the candidates that are prevailing are the ones that are taking the issues on head on.
Tony, that's right. That's exactly right. This is not an issue that we need to run away from. We look at what got us here, and the Dobbs decision last Friday. It was following the science. It was being winsome, and it was making that case boldly and winsomely, winning hearts and minds. We need to keep doing that, and this is a tremendous opportunity. Tony, everybody is going to have to take a position on this issue, and you look at
Yeah.
the opposite side. Most of the congressional Democrats, unfortunately, have supported legislation that allows for abortion for any reason up through all 9 months of pregnancy, even on a baby's birthday. That type of legislation, polling tells us, is only supported by about 15% of Americans. So
Yeah.
this is an issue we need to step up and have a lot of opportunity on.
It clearly lines of separation in the country, where you see half the states now, about 26 states, moving to protect life in the wake of Roe. And then you've got about 23 aggressively pushing abortion. Clearly, the nation's divided. Brent, great to talk with you. Thanks so much for joining with us.